I don't know how to say this. It's something that's been weighing on my conscience for quite a while now. I think I should just come out and publicly state this. I am a fake geek. And I know, it seems outrageous, but I have a few confessions, and you'll see that I'm a fake geek because of this. I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones. I've only watched 2 or 3 episodes of Firefly. I don't like the DCEU. I haven't seen Aquaman. Oh, it feels so bad to admit this, but it feels so much relief. I haven't seen the Battlestar Galactica reboot. I haven't watched all of Voyager. I don't watch The Orville. Oh, it's just feeling a bit of relief. I'm getting all these things out there. I mean, it doesn't matter that I've watched like every single episode of Star Trek from the original series up to the end of Deep Space Nine. It doesn't matter that I've been to almost every midnight screening of almost every Star Wars film. It doesn't matter that I rate and review Spider-Man games and I've got an entire shelf full of games out there. It doesn't matter that I've got a Spider-Man tattoo. I am a fake geek. It's kind of preposterous when you say it like that, isn't it? I mean, you know, if you only want to use a barometer for people's nerdiness based on your own central calculations, you might come across as a bit of a condescending asshole. So as I'm recording this on Friday the 1st of March, Australian time, Gail Simone, who I recommend anyone should follow on Twitter, she is one of the best trolls out there and a great writer. She made a post about asking female and non-gender binary people to talk about the tales of being called out a fake geek, or she called it a fake nerd, with the hashtag fake nerd girl. She got a tremendous amount of responses. Of course, a lot of people, mostly women, obviously, talking about how they've been gatekeeped in the past. Comic book professionals who have had their own work cast into doubt by some random guy. The stories are too familiar, and they're all kind of shocking indictments of just how kind of toxic fandom can get. That little skit I just did, yeah, it's parody, but it's also kind of true. I wanted to reply to one of the threads saying, I've met more fake geek boys than I have met fake geek girls, which of course is the grand total of 0. Now, I didn't want to get that taken out of context, so I didn't play it, because talk a little bit about representation just quickly. As stated before, I am a cis white hetero male. As such, I in the grand scheme of media have the most representation, and I do believe other representation is equally valid, and in fact probably more so, more important to have a voice heard. We know what the cis white male hetero opinion is. We've been listening to it for as long as media has been a literal thing. So I can't speak on behalf of any one of those other groups. I can be an ally. I can broadcast, but I can't speak for that. What I want to talk about, some people love to judge other people on their fandom by either how long they've been in the fandom or by how much knowledge accumulative they have on the fandom. If they don't reach that person's perceived baseline, they're clearly fake. And of course, most of those baselines are based on their own personal experience. So the metric is automatically biased and fucked. But of course, you know, what am I talking about? I'm a massive nerd who just admitted not watching or liking some of the biggest things in pop fandom. And here I am, wearing a Star Wars t-shirt and my own homemade Ghostbusters helmet. I bet some idiot is saying, they didn't wear that in the movies. Filmation Ghostbusters, look it up, fuckhead. Yeah, I'm probably being a little bit abusive because I'm also kind of tired of this mentality that has basically been a part of geek culture for such a long time, and it kind of pisses me off. This is a male thing and it needs to stop for everyone. The biggest problem is these assholes assume males know what they're talking about. I would love to give the benefit of the doubt to some people and say they just don't know how to express themselves, except this seems to be an ongoing thing. This is why I say I've actually met fake geek guys more than I've actually met fake geek girls. I've found in my experience that when a girl geek actually wants to talk about something, they're usually very informative, but it's never in a, I'm trying to judge your level of expertise in this, whereas I find a lot of male geeks tend to do that. It's quite possibly subconscious, but it does come across as a condescending dickwads. So even when I've been in costume as a character, I've still had people try and interrogate me about the fandom. It's only happened a few and far between, but it's always a dude, and it's always a stereotype geek. And it's kind of funny because I think these people have got it in their minds that if you don't resemble them, you're not a geek. And I'll be honest, my stories are obviously not probably as aggressively bad as some other ones. I don't have people constantly trying to say I'm not a geek. And I can't even truly empathize, but I know it happens. I've seen it happen. One of my friends, Gabby, Cocktail Cosplay, go check her out. She's on Facebook and the Twitters. She knows more about modern day comic books than I do, particularly DC. I stopped collecting comic books back in 2005, basically around the time of the original Civil War arc. And the DC was doing that shit where they rebooted the Green Lantern, bringing back Hal Jordan, one of the characters I'm not really fond of. And that whole Green Lantern Rebirth book, I read it like about 4 or 5 times. I was just trying to get my head around this. It was just such a fucking circle jerk to a character I didn't like, and I just was so over. I couldn't believe it. And the guy that drew that is one of the head honchos in Comicsgate. Fuck you, Ethan. It's still to a degree, I still get astounded by the amount of arrogance I see on display by the true fans. And this is why Comicsgate is equal parts hilarious and deeply troubling, because they have this microcosm of a worldview that comics are this thing here, and if it's not this thing here, as opposed to the big freaking balloon of things that it is, you're a fake geek. My friend Gabby, she can school me on DC now. I've probably forgotten most of my comic book knowledge in regards to DC, and I'm still learning new things when I talk to her. And it's great to listen to somebody who has a different perspective on comics and who loves these characters probably more so than you ever will. The best thing about geek culture is the back and forth. I introduce you to new stuff, you introduce me to new stuff. I introduce you to old stuff, you introduce me to old stuff. It's a back and forth. Geek culture is great when we're celebrating the art, the nuances, all the stuff around it, because geek culture has always been great at talking about ideas. And yeah, there's still some comic books that are just exclusively about punching people, but even comics have had a history of social commentary. And this is the social commentary that dickheads like Ethan Van what's his fucking face and all the rest of the comic book dickheads just want to erase because they want their worldview. Those are the fake geeks. Those are the people that make us look terrible. And I'm very deliberate with that term, us. You, me, regardless of our gender, regardless of our birth, regardless of our sex, regardless of our color of our skin, where we grew up, what our economic value are, we can enjoy this together. Only fake geeks are the people that don't want us to celebrate this stuff. They are the fake geeks. Now, I would love to go into this, but I've actually done a podcast with my friend Tammy who, I don't know if the website is still available or not, but I'll see if I can find it and I'll either upload it to a SoundCloud or I might just turn it into a YouTube video. But I did talk extensively about fake geek girls about 5 years ago. Well, maybe the trend of calling something a fake geek girl has gone away. The underlying problem still hasn't. Getting back to Comicsgate, that is readily apparent just from those assholes trying to change what we perceive as comics. Not that they can actually make a comic because they're too busy whining on the internet. There is no barometer, there is no test, there is no gauge on how geeky you should be to be considered a geek. Do you like something? You're a geek. You're a nerd. You can be whatever you want to be, self-explanatory. You can be a fanboy, you can be a fangirl, you can be a Trekkie, Trekker, whatever the equivalent of a Star Wars fan is, that's not a complete asshole. There is no such thing as a true fan. People who tell you that are the fake geeks. I guess ultimately, we also need to listen to those whose voices are not heard as loudly. The people who say, this is a problem. I experience this issue every time I walk into a comic book store, and there's some asshole who immediately quizzes on the things I want to pick up, or say such derogatory shit as, I guess you're looking for your boyfriend. If that is a thing you do between you and a friend in a comic book store, yeah, whatever, do it. I don't care. If you're an asshole who sees a girl in a comic book store and that's the first thing you want to say to them, fuck you. I'm all for having a conversation, but don't be a condescending asshole. Well, that took a turn. I'm not even going to be condescending and say you should not take this video as an instruction guide on what to do and what not to do. Because I shouldn't need to tell you that. I shouldn't need to be able to say, hey, maybe don't act like a complete jerk to complete strangers just so you can prove you've got a bigger fucking nerd cock than anyone else. Try a bit of empathy. Even if you want to have a genuine conversation with someone, you'll probably get a better result if you don't treat them like they don't meet your fucking standard. Even if it's unintentional, it's still a dick move. I genuinely hope anyone who's looking at this goes, oh fuck, maybe my language isn't that good. Maybe I'm being misconstrued. But guess what? Most of these people already know what they're doing. They have to by this stage. They can't be gleefully unaware that when you ask a girl in a Green Lantern costume that you bet you don't even recite the freaking oath. I mean, Green Lantern's not exactly the biggest pop cultural icon in the world. The movie was a flop. Green Lantern fans tend to be a bit more obscure than a fucking Batman fan. Look at Captain Marvel now. You got the Comicsgate Brigade saying, you're not a true fan, you've only just heard about Captain Marvel, blah, 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 blah. Well, how else are they supposed to know about the bloody character, you assholes? They find about these characters because of mass pop culture. I bet you never got into freaking comic books just because you just happened to walk across a fucking comic book store. Probably didn't just naturally go, oh, fuck, I better get into comics. You probably found out about comics through other media. I got into Spider-Man more because of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the cartoon from the 80s. That got me into comics. I was reading comics for the longest time. I was so excited when the Spider-Man movie came out because, well, A, because it's a fucking Spider-Man movie, but B, it gives that character that I love such bigger attention, and it has made Spider-Man one of the biggest pop culture icons in the world. You gotta remember, Batman was almost gone in the 60s if it wasn't for the 66 Batman show. A show that is now lambasted by the true fans for not being dark and gritty. So for a bit of historical context, the reason why Batman isn't dark and broody in the 60s is because he couldn't be, because of the Seduction of the Innocent book and all the hysteria surrounding that. They actually had to make Batman less of a crime fighter and more of a superhero. You gotta remember, Batman was originally a vigilante detective. That's why he was in Detective Comics. When they couldn't do true crime stories anymore, they had to keep Batman alive by making him a superhero. It's also where you see the campiness of Batman come out. And that's what transferred into the 66 series. Kind of funny, isn't it? The true fans are the ones that go on about how Batman should always be dark and brooding. And I'm going, well, no, Batman has changed at the times. And I'm giving you the knowledge and I'm giving you the actual reasons. But, oh gosh, I'm guessing I'm not a true fan. I know things, I can't be a true fan. I know historical context, I can't be a true fan. I haven't read every single Batman comic ever made. I'm definitely not a true fan. I'm sorry, this mentality is sickening. And I think the people who deserve to be quizzed on these things and gatekeeped are the people who tell people they have to be quizzed on these things and gatekeeped. You're the reason why fandom sucks. I'm getting more angry as I'm talking and I need to settle down. I got work to do. I want to go down the shed and work, but god fucking damn it. And I know it doesn't matter what I say because there's probably going to be some people who say, well, what does he know? He's just a guy. And that's part of the problem. And I'm going to have some people go, dude, shut the fuck up. Because dude, bro, dude. And they're part of the problem. So if you enjoyed this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, click dislike, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell if you want to be notified whenever I upload. I'm currently on a 3-day-a-week schedule. Mondays and Fridays is a down the shed video, with the Wednesdays being either a vlog video or something of that ilk, a more extended video. So until next time, see ya.